In Scotland, school inspections are changing, and in today's conversation with Alison MacDonald, HM Inspector and Head of Strategy in HMIE, we're exploring what's driving that change and hearing more about the public consultation shaping the future of school inspections in Scotland. My name is Fraser McCallum. I am an Education Officer working in the Inspectorate, and welcome Alison. Thanks very much for being here.
Hi, thanks Fraser, it's great to be here.
So we're going to just get started with an obvious question, Alison. What's this consultation all about?
Yes, absolutely, Fraser. So this consultation is part of a major review of school inspections across Scotland. We're taking a really good look at how inspections are carried out and how they feel for schools and communities and how they can better support improvement and public confidence. So we want the process of inspection to be more open, more useful, and more importantly, focused on what matters most for children and young people.
Okay, so pretty big piece of work then.
Absolutely, but it is an exciting one.
So why now, Alison? Why is this review happening at this particular point?
That's a great question, Fraser. So the reason for this happening now is because the timing links directly to the Education Scotland Act of 2025, which became law back in August. So the Act sets out the purposes of inspection, recognising effective practice, supporting improvement, informing policy, and giving the public confidence in our education system are these purposes. So now that the Act is in place, we want to make sure that the inspection system really does fulfil those purposes. And that's why the consultation is happening now, to make sure people's views help to shape how we move forward.
Thanks, Alison. So what kind of things are you actually asking people about in this consultation?
Okay, so what we're doing is looking for views across 9 main areas, and these are basically the building blocks of how inspection works. And I can talk you through each of those briefly.
Great.
So the first thing is clearly around who's involved in inspections. So we're exploring how inspections can feel even more collaborative, so that teachers, leaders, parents, children and young people all have a voice to play and can actually play an active part in the inspection process. And then that leads us on to think about the second thing, which is how often inspections happen. And we're asking if the current inspection frequency still feels right, or if we should consider a different approach to how often schools are inspected. And the third element of the consultation is one that always sparks debate, and that's about whether grades should be used in inspection. We want to hear from people on their views on this, whether they think grades are helpful or if we should move to a different approach. So moving on to think about the way that we undertake our inspections, we're thinking, what are the views that people have on the way we notify schools? So we would like to have some views on the balance between when schools are told an inspection is going to take place, but we still have to be aware that we want to avoid any unnecessary anxiety or build up to an inspection, which some people say happens just now. Then the next area in the consultation is about what actually happens before an inspection. And this is about things around what information is shared in advance of an inspection taking place, how schools can share evidence of their work before the inspection takes place, and how we can make the entire process smoother and more transparent. And that's not all. So we also want to know a bit more around views on the inspection framework that we use. So that is really what inspectors look at during the school inspection. What matters most as part of that, and how can we ensure that our framework, our new schools framework, will align with Scotland's curriculum and values? Additionally, at the end of an inspection, we want to find out more around what the views are on how our findings are reported. It's really important that we want reports to be clear, accessible, and genuinely helpful for schools and their communities. And what's really important here is how children and young people understand the outcomes of an inspection. So that's why we're asking for views on this. The eighth element of our inspection consultation is around nursery classes and how they're inspected. Since so many primary schools have nursery provision, we're asking specifically for views on whether nursery classes should continue to receive separate evaluations and summary of findings when they're included in a school inspection. And finally, we are asking questions about what happens after an inspection, because we want to make sure follow-up really helps schools to build on strengths and to make improvements.
Thanks, Alison. That's a really detailed and helpful overview for people listening. And it really does sound like you're looking at the whole inspection process, end to end.
Exactly, Fraser. It's not about tweaking one bit, it's about rethinking the experience of inspection in full.
I'm just going to ask, because I'm curious to know, how did you decide on these focus areas, these particular 9 areas that you just described?
Yes, so they actually came straight from our initial phase of consultation. So we've spoken to people since back in April 2024 when we began a comprehensive listening exercise. And we spoke with more than 1,300 adults, including teachers, school leaders, local authorities, national bodies, and fantastically, we also managed to listen to over 500 children and young people. So all of that feedback helped to shape these 9 themes. And now this consultation is about widening that conversation even further, inviting educators and parents, carers, the wider public, and of course, children and young people to have their say too.
That's really, really interesting, Alison. And can I just go back to what you said there about the over 500 children and people helping to shape the areas that are in the consultation. In this consultation itself, are children and young people able to take part directly in the consultation then?
Absolutely, Fraser. We have created a dedicated age-appropriate version of the consultation just for children and young people. And we have designed this to be engaging, and some of the language, which can be quite complex, we've made it as simple as we can for young people really to be able to access that. At the same time, we're also running workshops and discussions with children and young people during the time that the consultation is open. And if older pupils, especially secondary aged young people, if they want to complete the main public version instead, they can do that too.
Fantastic. And as we're wrapping up, I think it's really important just to ask the critical question. If someone's listening and thinking, yeah, I want to have my say, where should they go to find the consultation?
Absolutely. So both versions, the public consultation and the consultation designed for children and young people, are on the Scottish Government's consultation hub, which is called Citizen Space. Quite simple. All you have to do is search for School Inspections Are Changing, Shape What's Next. And both consultation documents are open until Wednesday, the 26th of November this year.
Thanks, Alison. So once the consultation closes, what then happens next?
Great. So all the responses that we get from the consultation will be very carefully analysed alongside other evidence that we have. We will then publish a summary report, and the results from the consultation will directly inform the next steps that we take in reforming inspection. So for us, this is very, very important. It's not just a tick box exercise, because we are passionate that people's views genuinely shape what happens next.
Thanks, Alison. So is there anything just before we finish, is there any final messages for listeners?
Absolutely, just that your voice really does count. Whether you're a parent or a teacher, a child or a young person, or someone who cares about Scottish education, this is your chance to help shape the future of school inspections, and take a few minutes to share your views, because they will make a real difference.
Thanks, Alison. Fantastic. And thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really interesting chatting with you and hearing about this really important piece of work. And lastly, just to everyone listening, Don't miss your chance to take part. As Alison explained there, head to the Scottish Government's Consultation Hub, Citizen Space, before the 26th of November and help shape what comes next for school inspections in Scotland.